Today we'll be taking a look at the new Vanguard VSS08 Daigo Special Expansion Set featuring Sentry Guard Dragon. Right, so the set comes with 4 copies of the Grade 3, 4 Grade 2, 4 Grade 1, one of the new first Vanguard which is exactly the same as the usual one, and 1 Quick Shield. Right, let's take a look at the main Vanguard. So we have Sentry Guard Dragon. So continuous. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 and above, and you have Grade 1 units, this unit's original critical becomes 2. So basically, you have an inbuilt Force 2 marker on it. So recommended to be playing Force 1 for this deck. Next, once per turn, when this after the battle where this unit attacks without boost, counterblast 1, rest 3 of your Grade 1 rearguard in the back row, discard 1 card in hand, and stand this unit. During this turn, all your unit in the front row get power plus 10,000. Alright, so after restanding, this unit get another twin drive. So unlike your usual restanding which have a -1 drive, this is actually pretty strong. Next, let's take a look at the Grade 2. We have the Withstand. So continuous as a rear guard. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Sentry Guard Dragon in name, Sentry Guard, and this unit get power plus 5,000 for each of your Grade 1 rear guard in the back row. So potential plus 15k, so it's a 25k base. And when it enters a Vanguard rear guard circle, you can counterblast 1, look at top 7, call up to 1 Grade 1, and shuffle the deck. So this for the Grade 2. And the additional Grade 1. When it enters the Vanguard circle, look at top 7, review and add up to 1 card with Sentry Guard Dragon or the Grade 2. Add it to your hand and shuffle the deck. And as a rear guard, when your Vanguard with Sentry Guard in name attacks, during this battle it gets power plus 10,000. If you do not have any face up card in your damage zone, counter charge 1. Ability of card with the same name can activate once per turn. Right, take note, it's a force activation. So when your Sentry Guard attacks for the first time, you must plus a 10,000. Alright, so that's for the new cards. Let's take a look at our test build. So first of all, we have this Grade 3 Field Feather Dragon. So activate counterblast 1, soul blast 3, draw according to how many empty rearguard circles, and call from the hand the same amount. Right, so basically it's for our draw engine. Right, this deck requires you to have a full field to hit the minimum potential. So no matter what happens, you must have 3 Grade 1 at the back row in order for this deck to actually works. So this actually helps a lot for the draw. Right, but just take note that because there's no imaginary gift, so that's the downside. So we are only playing 3 at the moment. Next, we have Rivaro to mainly search out the new Grade 2. Right, but after a few game testing, this is actually not very usable. Right, we may be considering to change this out for something else, but for now, it's always good to have a searcher, as this is our main attacker in the deck. Next, let's go for the Grade 1. So for the Grade 1 choices, first of all, we have our Grade 3 searcher, Sisius, which is a special box stopper for the Japanese version, where we will get the alternate art with full art. Right, so definitely a 4 copy, since we need Sentry Guard in our hand, or we have this at the start to boost our field. Next, we have Alan, counterblast 1, call 1, and draw 1. Right, this is also a help for our draw engine, and also you get a power plus 3k. So alternative will be Maron. Right, and we have Richard. So in the worst case scenario where we have a Grade 1 in the front row, we can actually give it intercept if it's in the same column. So we are playing 2 of these for the intercept to not waste any of our rear guard. And we have actually playing this injure, grade 1 5k. If you have 6 units, this unit get power plus 15k, so it's a 20k mainly attacker since there won't be any booster in this deck. As for triggers, it's the standard 4 draw, 8 crit, 4 heal. Alright, so let's take a look at the cards that was in consideration. First of all, we had Maron, which we actually replaced it with the injure. Since after testing there wasn't any a lot of chances of me activating this effect, so we actually switched out for the injure for attacking force. Right, but it's still a good card to have for the counter blast, since you get to counter charge with this unit anyway. Right, so that was in consideration. Next will be for grade 3. Right, with this knight, activate Vanguard Rearguard effect once per turn, counter blast 1, soul blast 1. During this turn, 2 of your unit get power plus 10,000, and if you have 4 or more damage zone, you get the counter charge 1. Right, so it actually helps us to push. Right, so but for now we are going for more hand size, so we took this out, but this is definitely a good unit to be in the deck. Next, for grade 2, we were considering Baron. So when your other unit attacks during this battle, you may give it power plus 5,000. If it's a grade 3 and above, you may counter plus 1, retire this unit to give it a critical plus 1 during this turn. Alright, so it's actually a pretty good unit to have in the deck. So you can actually consider this to replace away Rivaro if needed. Next, another combo that was in consideration was actually the Akane Pongao. So we have Akane out, counter plus 1 to search for Pongao to soul charge, to have additional grade 1 to field, but they'll be wasted for Akane since after calling she won't get the power plus 5 3,000 since it won't get boosted, as your grade 1 normally rested instead. So we took this out. As for trigger, previously we were thinking of 10 crit, but the hand size was a very big issue. Right, so let's leave it there. So let's take a look at the usual gameplay. Right, so this was out of like 5 games. The usual scenario will be riding of Sentry Guard Dragon, and at this point of time normally my field will be empty. So we have this Force 1 marker. So for the past few turns we will try to search out so we'll draw 4 from the deck, and no matter what you draw, you need to call 4 of any unit, so let's just go with this 4 for the time being. Right, something like along this line. So after you draw, you just fill out the field accordingly. Alright, and after you do that, you need to trigger off their effect one by one, so you need to look at top 5 to search for grade 3, if not shuffle the deck. After you may call counter plus 1 to call 1 to replace the field. Alright, so after that, normally the Vanguard attack first. So this is a 23k base. Grade 1 kick off, power plus 10,000 to Vanguard, so it becomes 33k base. After attacking, counter blast, rest 3, discard 1, Vanguard restand. Right, and we will go for another round of attack. So normally we go for the smallest, which is 23k. This is back to 23, and any trigger will go to the side, which is a 25k base. So that's the basic flow. Other deck that we can actually consider will be like adding Majesty Lord Blaster. Right, so modifying your Sentry Guard Dragon into Majesty Lord Blaster. So first of all, we will have we will write Majesty Lord Blaster to have the additional force marker on the field. after we go into Century Guard Dragon to end the game. But this build will require a lot of setting up, which personally do not really recommend for the current meta where most of the deck are playing Rush. So we'll be doing more testing for this deck. So for now, this is our first build.